And welcome into the Tuesday edition, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. Property managers, if you manage it, they maintain it. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Obviously, a lot going on the program today after opening day of NFL free agency. We will get into all of it throughout the show. Take your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Joe Rexrode, happy Tuesday morning to you. How we doing? What's going on?
Note that I did not try to talk before I muted.
I was monitoring closely.
You noticed that, right?
I did notice.
I was just giving a pause for dramatic effect. I'm doing great, thanks.
Good. I'm glad you're doing very well. Ian Safar, how we doing? What's going on?
Good morning. Doing just fine, thank you. Had a nice day yesterday, keeping up with all the news. Getting home for spring break, hanging out with the kiddos outside. Had the stream rolling for Chasing Big Joe, DVD, here and there, keeping up with the stuff. So it's a fun day, thanks.
Fun day. Lots going on yesterday in the NFL free agency front. Joe, I believe 9 is the count that the Titans have signed as of this moment, or I guess with NFL free agency, not technically beginning yet, agreed to sign. Wan'Dale Robinson, Daniel Bellinger, Mitch Trubisky, Cordell Volson, Austin Schlottman, John Franklin Myers, Cordell Flott, Alante Taylor, Joshua Williams, the names that have been signed by the Tennessee Titans to this point. So obviously, Joe, that's a pretty busy day for the Tennessee Titans yesterday. It didn't get off to a very busy start. 11:05 rolled around yesterday, Joe, and I was like, well, where's Wan'Dale Robinson? They didn't sign Wan'Dale Robinson yet. Everybody, Florio made it seem like as soon as the clock struck 11 yesterday that was going to happen. I think it ended up happening like 2 hours into it. But he's off the board as expected. 9 moves made by the Titans in the opening day of the legal tampering period in the NFL. What did you make of overall, Joe, what the Titans got done yesterday?
Well, certainly, I think that the best thing they did was sign Alante Taylor. We talked about it yesterday, and so I think that's a really good signing. We totally, like you said, we totally expected Wan'Dale Robinson. I like Trubisky. We talked about that yesterday. As a backup, I guess Bellinger probably. I haven't. Has Chig signed anywhere?
Not that I've seen.
Okay, but I mean, I guess I'm kind of looking at that with Helm as Bellinger now kind of slots in. Chig moves on, so you got a different dynamic there. We kind of expected Franklin Myers, but I think that's a good signing. It's not, a lot of these are, they're not knocking your socks off, but they're needed, and I think they're improving the team. And then there's some guys that. Like I don't know much about the linemen they signed, but like Volson and Schlottman.
Yeah.
But obviously that's where they needed to address those spots. So we'll see how that all works out there in the interior with Volson, Schlottman. Now of course we've talked about Jackson Slater a lot. He's still a little concerned. All the kind of proven commodity centers out there have been signed elsewhere. Cade Mays goes to the Lions, as we, actually that's another one. Oh yeah, the Raiders went nuts with Linderbaum, right?
Yeah.
And there's so much going on right now to keep track of. But I mean, look, overall, I think it was a good day for the Titans. Like you have it here on the grid. Schlottman, of course, was the Giant center. So I mean, I don't know how good he is, but I mean that's probably who their center is going to be moving forward, right? I mean, they've got some serious Giants influence here on this offense now.
You're talking about Wan'Dale Robinson, Daniel Bellinger, Schlottman, Cordell Flott, all from the Giants, right? So, I mean, four guys directly from the Giants. And then, as Kuharski points out, Trubisky actually did spend a little bit of time with Dable in Buffalo at his first stop in Buffalo. So you have another connection to Dable there when it comes to Trubisky. So clearly, they have targeted some guys here that are familiar with the Titans coaching staff. That's why a lot of people were connecting the dots to John Franklin Myers as well. Like it's a clearly at least part of their strategy here is finding guys that they're familiar with. And Joe, you could take that all the way back to Jermaine Johnson for the Tavondre Sweat trade, where you're bringing in guys that are familiar with this coaching staff. So, I saw some Titans fans yesterday saying, well, you got a lot of guys from the New York Giants and that are connected to Robert Saleh and Brian Dable, and those guys haven't done a whole lot of winning recently. So what does that mean for the Tennessee Titans? I mean, I would say this, you can find good players on bad teams throughout the league, so it doesn't necessarily mean anything that they've signed all these guys, but it is an interesting observation that they're basically like the Nashville Giants after free agency yesterday.
Yeah, I can't recall a coordinator having this much influence over roster construction. You know what I mean? It's basically like, it kind of has a feel of like Saleh is a head coach, but head coach of the defense.
Yeah.
Dable is the OC, kind of head coach of the offense. And, they're both going with a lot of guys they know. But, yeah, you're absolutely right. Certainly we know the Jets, for as much winning as they didn't do, they did have a heck of a defense. And, the Giants had their moments, too, under Dable. It wasn't all bad. But, look, Cordell Flott, 3 years, $45 million. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, okay. That seems pricey for someone that I don't know a lot about, but doesn't, you also know now there's two starters right there at corner.
Yeah.
So 2 starters at corner. And also, again, they've addressed the interior. Have they addressed it well? I don't know, but they've addressed it. So they've already on day one at least cooled off some of the burning need at various positions that you would go into in the draft and be like, well, we need this, we need that, like you're kind of seeing the picture take shape a little bit here.
Well, I said it yesterday, the moves they made at cornerback, like you needed at least 2. Like it was the more you looked at where they're at in the draft, the where they're potentially going to go with some of these draft picks. I just felt like corner was something they were going to have to pretty heavily address in free agency. And I didn't know that they would end up with 3. They did. So you've got Alontae Taylor, Cordell Flott, who are going to be starting. Joshua Williams, is he going to be starting? I don't know. We'll see what that looks like. He has started before in Kansas City. He did not start any games for Kansas City last year, but you did bring in, 3 corners yesterday. Williams got good length to him and could play on special teams. So you got to factor that in. He'll be in the rotation, but is he going to be a starter? I don't know. So, but you at least got, I think, 2 starters. Alontae Taylor's going to start. Cordell Flott's going to start. And then we'll see what that third spot kind of looks like for the Titans. And, do they find somebody else in the draft? Like what all does that look like here moving forward? But I just felt like with where they are from their roster standpoint, I would have been stunned if they didn't make one significant move at corner yesterday. And they made 2 and addressed it with 3 bodies.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they got 2 stars. Williams, he hasn't started a game since 24. He's only started 12 in his time with Kansas City.
Right.
He's just a depth add, but so you have him as a depth as a depth piece. You have Marcus Harris, you have Flott and Taylor going to start. And I think it'd be good if they at some point could draft, somebody there, then I think you'd feel a lot different at that spot than you did yesterday. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that spot. And then again, it's just, with this offensive line, you definitely have, different pieces to move around. Again, you think you have, you got a guy who started for 4 years at center. So, that's a significant move. You would hope, of course, that would be better than the version of Cushenberry they've had. So they've done some upgrading. I don't really, what is Bellinger? It's a very different player certainly than Chig. But again, now you have a clear top 2 there.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the things that we're probably going to be asked today is, all right, well, they've signed all these guys. So how much money, how much cap space do they have left to continue to try to add people in free agency? And as Kuharski pointed out last night, we need first-year cap numbers on all these deals to know that, and we're not going to know that for a couple of days. So trying to pinpoint and identify exactly how much cap space they've got left to continue to operate here we at the moment don't know until we see the specifics on all these deals and what the cap hits are going to look like early in the deals here. So, but I would assume they've got some money to operate with here too. It's not like, not like they went out and signed Linderbaum yesterday for all the money he signed for, which was, woo, how about that? Good day for Tyler Linderbaum yesterday.
My goodness. Yeah. No, and that's true. Now I would look at these guys, you look at the AAV, and you could probably, and there's no need right now to mess with the deals and do bonus money and kick the can at all. So they're probably about what you would think the cap hits would be, but they still should have some space after that. I don't. I mean, you look around, like, what are who are the big targets left? I mean, obviously, like, who's out there? Who's a big, I mean, Hendrickson's still out there, which is
Hendrickson's still out there.
interesting. Hendrickson's still out, so you could do that. I mean, are they done at receiver? Because Jennings and Dobbs are still out there, right?
Yep.
As far as I know, I can't keep, it's like minute by minute with this stuff. I just, I look around. I just don't know, who they would really be in on at this point. Certainly could be somebody. What about Kevin Byard? Bring Kevin
that's
Byard
interesting.
back?
Yeah, it's
possibly. I mean, I can't believe, like, Reek Woolen. That's another one that puzzles me a little bit that he's even out there. But again, they've addressed that position now, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's quiet from here.
615-737-1025, our phone number. We are off and running. A very busy day for the Titans yesterday as NFL free agency gets going. We'll take your reaction to the 9 signings that the Titans have made to this point. We'll get into what they've done on the defensive side of the ball specifically coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Busy day for the Titans yesterday as the legal tampering period opened in the NFL, which is basically free agency. I mean, can we just call it that? I don't know why we got to do this song and dance in the NFL of it's the legal tampering window. It's free agency. It's fine. It is what it is. 9 moves made by the Tennessee Titans yesterday. Joe, let's get into John Franklin Myers specifically here for just a minute. 7.5 sacks in 16 games last year for Denver on the defensive line. I still, and we're going to get into this overall conversation a little bit later. I don't know that this necessarily changes, the idea that if you're the Titans at number 4 overall, you could still just go out there and draft like David Bailey. But you have now in the offseason, in addition to Jeffrey Simmons that you already had on your line, you've added John Franklin Myers in the interior and Jermaine Johnson on the outside. So you've got some veterans coming in that have demonstrated at different points in their career that they can be productive and get after the quarterback. What do you make of John Franklin Myers specifically, who obviously spent some time with Robert Saleh and the Jets? The last 2 years he's been in Denver with the Broncos, and you're talking about 7 sacks in 2024, 7.5 this past year. He will be 30 coming up this season. But you're plugging him with Jeffrey Simmons, and now you've got Jermaine Johnson in the mix as well. What do you make of what the Titans have done to this point up front defensively?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that I think there's a clear upgrade next to Jeffrey Simmons now with Franklin Myers. We've been waiting for Tavondre Sweat for that to be a big strength of the team. Jeffrey Simmons has been great on his own, but I think Tavondre Sweat was a disappointment, and while at times his impact could be seen, I think that Franklin Myers and Simmons together could be dynamic, and that's probably where I would start in terms of the strength of the team now. So I just think defensively, then you factor in the previous add of Johnson. Of course, now as we've talked about, you've got corners who can start and be productive and be good players in this league. You have some returning pieces, young safety, a really promising young linebacker in Gray. To me, the defense is better. Is it good? Is it really good? I don't know about all that. There's still a lot of questions with a lot of different players, and there's still adds needed. We're going to get into, and we got questions in the text on already, but we're going to get into, what this might mean for the draft. I mean, I'm not looking at this whole thing and saying, well, they're good on D, but offensive add for sure, not at all. But they've improved the defense without question. I mean, that to me is the big takeaway. And then obviously, I think look, they've addressed the position the other position other than corner yesterday we talked about a lot, which was center.
Yeah.
At least adequately. I mean, I think Schlottman, we'll see. I mean, that's still a big question mark, but that's still, you had to address that position, and they did.
Well, on corner, you bring in as the 3 names that we just talked about in the last segment in Taylor, Flott, and Williams. Taylor, I think, was on a lot of Titans fans' radar for a couple of reasons. Number one, he's kind of a local product. Number two, he played very well against the Titans last year. And I think, in the immediate aftermath of that Saints game last year, Joe, we started talking about Alontae Taylor of, that might be something that the Titans need to keep an eye on this offseason if he makes it to free agency. And now he has. Now they've signed him. What do you I'm with you. Like, when they signed Cordell Flott yesterday, I was like, okay, I don't even know if I know who that is. And then I looked and I saw some Giants fans talking about it, and an up and coming corner, I guess, is the way that he beats described. But I mean, significant deal for Cordell Flott. We know more about Alontae Taylor. I don't think the Titans have now got some shutdown group of corners or anything, but I do think that they have a chance if you can pair it, as we always talk about, Joe, with a pass rush that is at least threatening. They've got a chance to be good in the secondary. So what do you make of Taylor Flott, which I think pretty clearly right now, I mean, there's no doubt right now, but I think when you get to the end of this, is going to be your 1-2 when it comes to your corners out there by the time the Titans roll out there in training camp.
Yeah, I mean, I just Taylor. I mean, we've been talking about this for a long time. I feel like usually whenever you have a situation like that, it just never materializes, So it's like, oh, they actually did. They went out and they went and got him.
Just wait till the Juwan Jennings news drops later today. It'll be a party around here.
Yeah, right. Oh my goodness, just finally making up for all the Vols fans you offended by drafting Will Levis.
Yeah.
It's about damn time, Titans. But no, it's Taylor's a good signing for sure. And yeah, I'm with you on Flott. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's guys at positions in this league especially on bad teams that you're just not that aware of. And I certainly would raise my hand on Cordell Flott. I mean, it seems like an overpay, but if you've got yourself a starting quality corner there to go with a guy we know is good, then you've dramatically altered that spot. And so, I look at the D again. I think Simmons, Franklin Myers, that looks pretty good. I mean, I think you could have something pretty good at safety with Hooker and Winston. I really like Gray, and I think that it's interesting, like how they view those linebackers, Barton and Williams with Gray. Like how important is it to address that at some point here? I don't know. Yeah. But I look at the whole thing and I'm like, that has a chance to be a decent group. I still think that there's a glaring need for a difference-making edge, and if you add that and you hit on it, well, you could have a pretty significant turnaround on that side of the ball. Of course, you're also factoring in Saleh, his coaching, really what he has been able to turn out as a coach, both as a head coach and a coordinator on that side of the ball.
Well,
you could be talking about a very different feel on that on defense here in one offseason.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you mentioned edge that's still out there. I mean, Trey Hendrickson is still out there. I mean, I'm interested to see where he ends up. I mean, I guess if you're the Titans, if you want to, you could get into that sweepstakes. But we'll see what happens on that front. A name we mentioned yesterday at linebacker that I was interested to see, if he, once he shook loose, if the Titans would be interested in, and that was Tremaine Edmonds, and he ended up signing a huge deal with the Giants. So I was interested to see where he ended up. What else could be coming at linebacker along with Cedric Gray? And I know they got Cody Barton there still, so maybe that's the plan. But we'll see if there's anything coming on that front. I also feel like, Joe, not that the Titans don't have other needs elsewhere, but I do feel like linebacker, like Green Bay, for instance, they just traded for Zaire Franklin. They let Quay Walker go to free agency, and Green Bay still needs another linebacker. They're probably just going to draft one in like the 4th or 5th round because that's what a lot of teams do now. Rather than paying another linebacker in free agency, they just say, yeah, we'll just draft one when it comes around the 4th or 5th round, which is exactly what the Titans did with Cedric Gray.
Yeah. Yeah. And that could be, I don't know, like how complete or incomplete they view that linebacker. Look,
you got James Williams in there too, so got to keep that in mind.
Yeah, and he's talented. Like, again, that's a guy who, like, if he keeps developing and then you get great coaching, and you never know. But, look, as much as to me, it's very easy to speculate about Love. It's very easy to speculate about a Bailey or an Edge. I mean, hey, maybe their plan is Sonny Styles, and that he's going to be the centerpiece of this defense, and those other guys are support pieces. I mean, that's possible, right? It would be a little wild to draft an interior linebacker like that at that spot, but he's a guy some people think is a top 5 pick because he's so good.
Well, and how about this? I mean, Trevor, shout out to Trevor on the text line for sharing. This is from Connor Hughes, who covers the Giants and the Jets for SNY up there in New York. Says Cordell Flott was set to return to the Giants. It was as done of a deal as you can get without pen to paper. As last-second attempt to get him to change his mind, the Titans put forth their plan for how Robert Saleh planned to use him and what they believed he could accomplish in this defense, and that was the difference. Flott doesn't return to the Giants. He instead heads to Nashville with teammates Wan'Dale Robinson, and Daniel Bellinger. So an interesting nugget there from Connor Hughes of it. And I guess the Giants felt like Cordell Flott was coming back, and then Robert Saleh got in there and changed it.
Very interesting. The whole thing makes it sound like he's good.
It does.
I mean, if that's the case, no, that's the name of the game these days. It's competitive. So if they've got something good there, despite my lack of awareness of him, and to go with Taylor, then again, that's a pretty dramatic change of that room.
So we've gone through the moves defensively. What about on offense and what the Titans got done on that side of the ball? What do we think of what they've done? What do we think there's still left to do for the Titans when it comes to free agency? We'll get into all that. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Joe, we've gone through the moves the Titans made defensively. Offensively, interesting day yesterday. A couple of Giants added to the fold. Let's start on the Wan'Dale Robinson front because it was, a poorly kept secret heading into yesterday that Wan'Dale Robinson was going to end up on the Tennessee Titans. So by no means is it surprising that they signed him. It is a 4-year, $78 million contract that includes $38 million guaranteed. We've gone through Wan'Dale Robinson and the numbers. He had over 90 catches last year for over 1,000 yards. He's had 140 targets right on the nose each of the last 2 years. Obviously, familiarity with Brian Daboll and his system, so no issues there. What did you make of the deal that Robinson landed with 4 years, $78 million? Obviously, we'll get into another gigantic wide receiver deal that took place yesterday a little bit later in the show. But 4 years, $78 million, $38 million guaranteed for Wan'Dale Robinson.
Yeah, well, actually, it was less money than we were talking about yesterday. Less money than some were speculating. So, I think it's money-wise a pretty good deal for the Titans. Like we've talked about. Do you get super excited about Wan'Dale Robinson? No, but he improves the offense. He improves the offense. He's going to get the ball a lot, and it's important that he and Cam Ward have a good chemistry. And he's a good piece in an offense. It doesn't solve the need at some point for the Titans to have a quote-unquote true number one receiver. Don't know who that'll be or how that'll be or when that'll be, but it improves the offense at I think a reasonable price.
I would agree. I think the number, when I saw some speculation out there that Wan'Dale Robinson was going to get like $24-25 million a year. And then I saw what Alec Pierce signed for, which is $29 million. I was like, good God, this is unbelievable. And we'll get into the Pierce part of this here in just a few minutes. So I was pleasantly surprised when the number came in for what it was for Wan'Dale Robinson. Again, Wan'Dale Robinson's a good player. I think he's going to help the Titans. And when you get a wide receiver that makes it to free agency that can come in and help you, good. I'm cool with it. I don't think it's like some back-breaking price or anything. I don't think that Wan'Dale Robinson, to your point, is going to come in and just totally transform the offense. I will say, Joe, though, and we've talked about this for a long time. When's the last time they had like a dedicated slot guy that was healthy long enough to get in there and make a big impact, right? Like it's – they could put A.J. Brown in the slot. They've put Calvin Ridley in the slot. But like a dedicated slot guy. I know Wan'Dale Robinson isn't exclusively in the slot. I think PK broke it down. I think it was 57% last year of his snaps were in the slot. So the majority of the time, that's where he's going to be. I'm interested to see how in this offense that helps Cam Ward, what that looks like with the Titans, because we just haven't seen somebody really thrive in that role, gosh, a long time.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of skill set, that's how I view him. I guess he's a bit more maybe movable than some slot guys, but yeah, I mean that's what he is. And to your point, I mean they tried. Excuse me, obviously they tried with like Kyle Phillips, and that failed miserably. I mean Adam Humphries was really good, but could not stay healthy. So yeah, it's been a while. And again, it's a different offense. So, we'll see. We'll see exactly how it shakes out. But I expect him to be used the exact same way. And again, basically like what I consider to be a slot receiver.
Yeah.
He's going to get a lot of targets, a lot of catches. He's going to catch the ball a lot close to the line of scrimmage. And it's a good thing to have in your offense. The need for a real difference-making outside receiver remains. And again, we still have this looming question here of if Calvin Ridley is in the plans or not.
Well, that's a big part of this. What does this all mean for Ridley? We've gone through some names that are still out there, like Romeo Doubs hasn't signed yet. Jawan Jennings hasn't signed yet. So there could be more moves coming at receiver. But if it's not, like if this is what they do, like their big, I guess one and only move that they make in free agency, like I still think, Joe, you can make the argument if it's just Wan'Dale Robinson that you're adding to keep Ridley. Like I think you can still make that argument. Now, if they go out and they bring in like Dobbs or something like that, then I think that argument's probably gone at that point. But right now, like I think you could definitely make the argument to still keep Ridley, because I mean you don't know how this is going to shake out when it comes to the draft. You can have your plan of what's going on with the draft, but you don't know for sure what that's going to look like here. So that part of it is going to be really interesting. They did sign a quarterback yesterday, Joe. Mitch Trubisky is now the backup quarterback for the Tennessee Titans, and that's not necessarily unexpected. We talked about the possibility of that heading into it yesterday, but now they've done it. Mitch Trubisky is in, and I think, Joe, that probably signals that Will Levis is going to be on his way out one way or the other at some point this offseason.
Yeah, so Will Levis will not be throwing to his college teammate, Wan'Dale Robinson. Yeah. But yeah, as we talked about, I like it. I mean, it's an upgrade. It's a guy who I think can actually come in and win you games. I mean, Mitch Trubisky he's a gigantic disappointment relative to where he was drafted. He's been bouncing around the league as a journeyman at this point. He knows what he is. He's a number 2 quarterback in this league. It's good work if you can find it, and it's to me miles beyond their number 2 quarterback last year, and better than Levis. Even though I still think Levis at some point could. I'm keeping Mitch Trubisky. Someone mentioned yesterday maybe he could be the one of these guys. I think we're past the reclamation project. Good starter, Mitch Trubisky.
He's going to be 32 years old next year.
Yeah, we're not past that with Levis. I think it's possible for him at some point, but right now, I don't think there's any question. That's an upgrade over last year and an upgrade over what they would have had with Will Levis. So I like it.
I do too. It accomplishes a couple things, Joe. I think number one, it's still like a veteran guy who's been in the league since 2017. I mean, he's been in the league 9 years at this point. So you get the veteran guy in your room, and you get a guy that if he has to come in for a short amount of time, gives you a realistic chance to move the football up and down the field. Now, if Cam Ward goes down for 7 weeks, is Mitch Trubisky going to come in and lead you to the playoffs? Probably not, right? I mean, how many backup quarterbacks are going to be able to do that, particularly with a roster that, while it got better yesterday, still has a lot of work that needs to be done to it. So I don't have any grand illusions that Mitch Trubisky can come in and, the Titans are going 5-2 in a 7-game span with Mitch Trubisky at quarterback. But I do think it gives you a shot to come in and continue to run your offense and at least have competent quarterback play back there. So I'm cool with it. I think it accomplishes a couple of different things there. Now, I am interested to see, there's no reason, and I don't think the Titans are going to do this. I mean, the Titans are not keeping Will Levis around as the 3rd quarterback at this point. So I'm interested to see, whether it's in the next few days or in the next few weeks or in the next few months, what that looks like in terms of, I don't know, you getting a 6th-round pick back from Will Levis when you ship him off somewhere?
That's about right. Yep. Swap a 7 for a 6 and Levis, something like that. Here's a quick question here. That's a good question. It's good to address. Doug and Franklin says, during this legal tampering, are these deals guaranteed? Have athletes changed their mind? In college recruiting and commitment doesn't mean others will stop recruiting. Wonder if the same was true here. This is definitely not like college. Like I'm committing to Alabama, yeah. And then 3 months later you change your mind. I mean, yeah, basic. I mean, I'm sure there's been some weird stuff that's happened. Like something happened with Antonio Brown, or was that a trade? I don't know. But Antonio Brown in Buffalo, remember that?
Oh yeah,
that one was reported, and then it didn't happen. But for the most part,
also think about who we're talking about there.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, basically these deals are done. They just can't be official until Wednesday. So no, this is definitely these things are all happening. The track every single one this week. If any of them don't happen, that's a shocking development. And how the heck did that happen? So now this is basically, it's just not official yet.
615-737-1025, our phone number. More your reaction to what the Titans have done in free agency. We'll take your thoughts on that. We'll take a look around the NFL at some of the big deals that went down yesterday as well. All that coming up. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Tennessee Brew Works, the official craft beer of football offseason coverage here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Day one of free agency in the books in the National Football League. Titans have made 9 moves so far. So taking your thoughts on all that at 615-737-1025. Joe, would you be done from a free agent perspective at wide receiver? Like with a Wan'Dale Robinson move, there's still Dobbs out there. I mean, at the moment, Jennings is still out there. You know, I guess you could go deeper down the list and get into some, third tier guys if you really wanted to talk about it. But I guess my main question to you is like Dobbs and Jennings, who are still out there. Would you still be trying to bring in one of those two guys if you're the Titans, or are you letting it ride with what you've got and just hoping that Calvin Ridley's around and stays healthy next year?
Yeah, it's all about Ridley to me. I mean, if you're keeping Ridley, then I don't see why you're going out to get those guys. Those are good players. Those are good complementary receivers. They're not top of the room receivers. I can make a case that I'd rather have either of them over Ridley. But again, it's like, to me, it's like but like, how big of a gap is there? Like, if you told me Ridley is going to play all next year, I mean, is Ridley still a more talented all-around player than those other two guys? At its best, it's close.
It's close, but I would say yes, but it's close.
So
you'd have to guarantee me he's healthy, which is impossible to do in the NFL.
Yeah, and maybe not even likely at this point. Yeah. So, I'd probably rather see either of those guys than him on the roster. But I also don't think that it changes the math all that much. Like, they continue to need. To me, it's again at 4. I don't know if it's Mekhi Lemon, but even that, I think that's too rich for 4. I do think that at 35 right now, if that's where they're picking and nothing changes, there's no trades anyway, I think that could be a really important spot to get a young guy and hope that you really draft and develop a difference maker there.
Well, another part of this we've talked a lot about is running back. What would you do in free agency at the running back spot? And we saw a lot of those guys go yesterday. I mean, obviously the headliner is Kenneth Walker going to Kansas City. So I think a nice move there for the Chiefs. The Super Bowl MVP out of Seattle ends up in Kansas City with the Chiefs. You saw Tyler Algier go to Arizona. So another guy that we've talked about ends up in Arizona. Big deal for Travis Etienne yesterday. So some of the names we've talked about when it comes to running back were off the board yesterday. Obviously, Breece Hall never made it. He's been tagged. And he did not by the way, did not like all the deals the Jets were signing yesterday. It's like, wow, look at the Jets. They got a lot of money out here. Not giving it to me, but got a lot of money out here. So at the moment, they have not done anything to address running back at this point. So that doesn't mean that they won't here in the next couple of days. It also doesn't mean that they won't in the draft, which we'll get into a little bit later in the show. But it was interesting yesterday to see Walker. I mean, Walker pretty quickly off the board to Kansas City, ended up signing a 3-year, $43.5 million deal. So clearly Kansas City was targeting him right from the jump, because I think that deal was done at like 11:30 yesterday, like 30 minutes in.
Yeah. So one of the possibilities we talked about, of course, was could the Titans move back a bit because someone wants Jeremiah Love so bad? Right. Who the Chiefs were a prime contender for that. You can scratch them off the list. Obviously, there's no way that wherever they draft that they're going to draft Jeremiah Love after paying Kenneth Walker what they did. So from that perspective, the move back because of him is less like it could be. Could be someone else that provides that opportunity, or they could just take him.
And by the way, like the other team that we kind of threw in there was New Orleans, and they signed Etienne yesterday. So you've got Etienne. Now the people are wondering what's going to happen with Kamara and whether or not he's going to get traded. But Etienne signs a 4-year, $52 million deal with the Saints. So both of those teams at 8 and 9 at New Orleans and Kansas City make moves in free agency yesterday at the running back spot.
Yeah. So that's not looking likely. And again, that's why I said it's like if you had a chance to pay Kenneth Walker, I would do that over drafting Jeremiah Love, because we're talking known commodity. Jeremiah Love is going to be a good, I would even say with confidence, Jeremiah Love is going to be a very good NFL running back. Number 4, you better be a superstar. Is he that for sure?
Right.
I don't see how anybody could say that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things that would suggest that he could be, but until you see it in the NFL, I guess you never really know on that front. It's just, I guess when you think about it from that perspective, I mean, Arizona made a move yesterday to bring in Algier. Not that that's like some, not some groundbreaking thing that they couldn't draft Jeremiah Love, but they've got so many other needs that, I don't know what that's going to look like at number 3 overall. And we just mentioned it, New Orleans and Kansas City, who are drafting 8 and 9 right now, make moves at running back yesterday too. So, like, it is at least shaping up, and we'll get into this more specifically a little bit later in the show, shaping up where the Titans, definitely could take Love there at number 4 if they want to. And I don't know how much interest there's going to be in people trying to trade up at that point. So that part of it I thought was pretty interesting. The Alec Pierce deal that Indianapolis landed yesterday, right as the legal tampering period was opening, was astronomical. We will get into that. We will get into Malik Willis. We'll get into Tyler Linderbaum. Some of the big moves made yesterday in NFL free agency coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping for homes and businesses that want to stand out, not blend in. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home in the $99 yearly Beehive membership with a buzz is always about great service. Alec Pierce, Joe, 4 years, $116 million yesterday from the Indianapolis Colts, which is the most by a wide receiver in free agency in NFL history. So 4 years, $116 million. Shortly after that, Joe, the Colts turned around and traded Michael Pittman to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who then gave Pittman a 3-year, $59 million deal after that. So they have signed Pierce, traded Michael Pittman within the span of about an hour yesterday, and that is the move the Colts have decided to make here. So let's start on the Pierce front. What did you make of the 4-year, $116 million deal that Alec Pierce landed with the Indianapolis Colts just before the legal tampering window opened yesterday in the National Football League?
I mean, it's just crazy. The Colts are just. I'm sorry. I need some of our resident Colts fans to weigh in. Like, are you happy with yesterday? I just like that's insane money for him. Now, we talked about that. Okay, they kind of make sense. Now you're moving on for Pittman, so. You've done all these things, and like, where are you ultimately? Like, they are operating like a team that's is on the verge of getting to the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
I know. I mean, it happens fast in this league. Like, they were surprisingly good last year, and all of a sudden, they're mortgaging future to go get a corner, and it's not Chris Ballard's fault he got hurt, but I don't think this is going to go well for them. I don't think these are smart moves. And Pittman is a really important part of that offense. Obviously, you can address it in other spots, and maybe they have like a draft strategy in mind to bring in somebody. But like, they're not better; they're worse, and they also have way less money now at this point with what they've done.
Well, Pittman in Pittsburgh is interesting. Like, first off, like, who's going to play quarterback in Pittsburgh? So there's that. Is Rodgers coming back? If he is, you're talking about, Metcalf, Pittman as your combo there. So that could be interesting in Pittsburgh. But like you said, I mean, it's a lot of money for Alec Pierce, who now, because of the deal that you've signed him to, you've had to trade Pittman. And now, like, to me, Joe, it's crucial that Alec Pierce, while we all are aware and talked in detail about how much of a deep threat he is, like, it's pretty crucial now that he becomes like, goes from a 47 catch guy to like a 75 catch guy, right? Like, he kind of has to, based on where their offense is right now.
Exactly. And of course, the average per catch is not going to stay where it is.
No.
But can it be 14, 15 still?
Right.
75 catches?
And I know they've got Tyler Warren and they've got Jonathan Taylor. Like, they've got other weapons on the offensive side of the ball. So it's not like, I'm sure that Tyler Warren, who I thought was really impressive as a rookie, is going to continue to improve, continue to evolve, continue to be a bigger part of the offense. I mean, you're talking about a rookie tight end that had 76 catches for 817 yards in his first year. So, like, would it shock me next year, Joe, if Tyler Warren caught 95 balls? No, it wouldn't, because I think he's really, really good. But still, like, you've got to have some receiving threats beyond Alec Pierce out there. And I thought the Pierce Pittman combo was pretty good. And now with all the money going to Alec Pierce, they make the move to get rid of him. So I'm interested to see, in their passing attack, how they compensate for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, maybe, I don't know. There are some guys out there, like if they went and got a Jennings, then okay, that's addressing the void left by Pittman pretty well. But I spent a ton of money on Alec Pierce, so you knew it was going to happen. You also could go back and say, okay, what if they did things differently and did the tag there,
Yeah.
and it was Daniel Jones. I mean, what how would things have turned out? But we'll see. I mean, Alec Pierce now needs to become a complete player and a great player. Like that, they are paying him to be a complete and great, clear number one receiver in the NFL.
Yeah. Well, it's just not to relitigate history here, but I think about the contract that Alec Pierce just got, and the Titans traded AJ Brown because he was like flirting with $20 million a year. It's just amazing.
Yeah. Right.
It's like, okay.
It wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't that long ago. It really wasn't.
It was 4 years ago.
George from Murfreesboro says, we got to stop losing to the Colts. Their team is average. Their jerseys are average. Their city is whatever. Ultra BMW on the YouTube chat says, I'm happy for Pierce. I'm sure he saw that contract and thought, holy crap, they're dumb. Oh, man. Yes, as somebody on the text line pointed out, it's like $350,000 per catch for Alec Pierce. Okay.
I mean, good average. Yeah, great average per catch. But yeah, he's got the usage has got to go way up. And yeah, again, Pittman is a guy who got the ball so much in offense. Really interested to see what the vision is for them.
Yep.
Question on what we've been talking about. Someone just started listening. The Ridley, the spending spree mean he's going to be cut now officially. I don't know. I don't know that. But that may be the plan. When you spend the money and then you're going to save some by cutting him and then try to address receiver further in the draft. But I think it's still possible that Calvin Ridley's on this team next year.
Another headlining move yesterday, Joe. Tua Tagovailoa signing with the Atlanta Falcons. So he gets released from the Dolphins and will be signing with the Falcons, which means, Joe, number one, this is my initial reaction to it. Atlanta has two left-handed quarterbacks in Tua and Michael Penix. So interesting stuff there. What did you make of that decision by Tua? That decision by Atlanta, who has essentially gone from a quarterback room of Cousins and Penix now to Tua and Penix.
Yeah, well, I guess obviously if you're Tua, you'd like to go somewhere where someone wants you to be the starter, like clear starter. But I don't think anybody's surprised that that's not in the cards for him. So it's not a bad move, I think, in terms of you've got a young guy who, again, tore his ACL in week 11. So even though he has said he's going to be ready, who knows? I mean, Penix has had a lot of injuries. So you got a guy with a severe injury history and who hasn't played great in there. So there's certainly a chance, I'd say a better than decent chance that Tua gets on the field next year and maybe has a chance to prove himself and help himself then moving forward and get a real shot after this. I mean, that's basically where he is. He's a fringe starter in this league who's looking for a chance to prove to people that he can do it at a high level. So, and he may get that chance next year. And then of course, Tua leaves Miami, and I think the Malik Willis deal, by the way, is actually, I think, kind of reasonable compared to what we thought it would be, although that third year kind of makes it's all about the guaranteed money.
Yeah, it's all about the guaranteed money. I mean, it's no surprise whatsoever that he ends up in Miami. And when you saw the coaching staff and the general manager combo that they put together, not even to mention the fact that I guess J-Rob's down there now, so you just factor in something else to it, that Malik Willis ends up there. 3 years, $67.5 million, $45 million fully guaranteed to Malik Willis. So he's going to get his shot. We'll see how that goes down there in Miami. But, I was rooting for him to get a good payday. He got it, $45 million fully guaranteed. You'll take it, and we'll see what he does with that opportunity. But I tell you what, I don't know the last time, Joe, that I've watched the Miami Dolphins with any sort of interest. Because of Malik Willis, I will watch them with interest next year. There's no doubt.
Yeah, it's a great story and good for him. And it's an opportunity. It's one of my big questions. I mean, there's a lot of question about whether he is truly up to being a consistently effective starter in the NFL. But another question is just what is he going to be working with down there?
Yeah.
And hopefully they have a good offseason and can give him a chance, because right now it's a pretty bad football team. But also pretty amazing to think about just 2 years ago, if anybody told you that Malik Willis was going to be a prize catch in the free agency period of 2026 and be a clear starter somewhere like 2 off seasons ago, it would have been like, what are you talking about? So good for him.
Yeah, go back to Titans training camp 2 years ago and say, hey, in a couple years, Malik Willis is about to get $45 million guaranteed in one offseason to go play quarterback somewhere, and you're going to be lucky to get a 5th or 6th round pick for Will Levis in return when you trade him this offseason. That's how it's going to shake out here.
It's kind of amazing how things have worked out.
It really is.
With people leaving this franchise and people that don't leave this franchise.
Yep. 615-737-1025. Our phone number, 615-737-1025. Tyler Linderbaum lands a huge deal yesterday. A legend on the wide receiver front ends up at a new stop. We will get into all that and more coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. I got some tickets to give away to see Nashville SC take on Inter Miami at Geodis Park coming up tomorrow night. Start time at 6:30. To caller number 4, 615-737-1025. Caller 4 will win a pair of tickets to see Nashville SC take on Inter Miami at Geodis Park coming up tomorrow night. Taking your thoughts on NFL free agency. Joe Tyler Linderbaum signs a 3-year, $81 million deal, including $60 million guaranteed with the Las Vegas Raiders yesterday. So leaving Baltimore, going to Las Vegas. That's a lot of money for a center. We knew that the money would probably end up somewhere around there, but $81 million over 3 years for Tyler Linderbaum. What did you make of not only that deal? I mean, the Raiders also signed Quay Walker. They signed Nakobe Dean. They signed Kwity Paye. So it was a busy day for the Raiders yesterday.
Yeah, man, that's a lot of money for a center. So you look at, so the Raiders gave a ton of money to a center, and they got rid of their one great player. If you're the Ravens, you lose that center, but you also now have a guy who I think is going to be unbelievable there. And I think Max Crosby, because he's played for the Raiders, I don't know if people realize how good that guy is.
He's good.
It's when you play for a team like that, sometimes you don't get as much recognition or attention as you should. So if I'm the Ravens, I'm okay with that trade. But I think there's a lot of teams that would have liked Tyler Linderbaum. I mean, again, as I've said many times, I would have liked to have seen the Titans get in there. Again, this is big money for a center, a little bit rich for most people. But when I look at that, I also now look at the Titans, and I'm like, okay, so who's playing center? Schlottman started 4 games last year. So yeah. We'll see.
Yeah,
but
we'll see what that
big
looks
deal.
like. It's a big deal for Linderbaum, no doubt about that. And the Raiders part of this, like I said, Quay Walker they added yesterday. They added Nakobe Dean. So, I guess just trying to get every person who's played linebacker at Georgia back together in there. Kwity Paye coming off the edge. So, that part of it, the defense, I think, got significantly better yesterday. But you've lost Max Crosby, so you got that to go along with it. Now, you got Brock Bowers on offense. You got Ashton Genty on offense, and we think that they're about to draft Fernando Mendoza. So it's a new era there in Las Vegas. The Linderbaum part of this going to be it's just a lot of money. I understand he's really, really good. It's just a lot of money for a center. So we'll see how that ends up playing out. Joe, Mike Evans on the move, signs in San Francisco. So Evans spent his entire career with Tampa. I mean, you're talking about a Tampa Bay legend down there with a Super Bowl win. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. He's got 13,000 receiving yards. He's been in Tampa Bay for 12 years. And now going to San Francisco. So I actually saw some NHL accounts yesterday just like quote tweeting this deal and putting like the picture of Steven Stamkos over the top of it. That was all over my TikTok feed. So that was funny to see. But Mike Evans ends up in San Francisco on a 3-year, $60.4 million deal. So what do you make of that move? And what do you think that means for Juwan Jennings, who is still out there?
Yeah, well, the big thing with Evans, age and health. I mean, if they can get some health luck with him, like next year, man. I mean, I'm sorry, that's a pretty massive upgrade over Juwan Jennings.
If he's healthy, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and Juwan Jennings younger, and he's a good player, and he's gonna go somewhere and be good. But like Mike Evans is like when he plays is a problem for people. So I like the gamble there for the Niners. I think that's a clear move of a team that, again, like it's like, okay, can you put together a year, where Warner is back and healthy, where McCaffrey doesn't get hurt. Now here's another guy who can he stay healthy? I mean, is it likely that all these things are going to break their way? I mean, Kittle is a guy who also has been hurt. I mean, probably not. But if more go their way than not, then to me, Mike Evans could be a real significant add in the NFC race.
I mean, look, if you're San Francisco, you're looking at your division and you're like, okay, Seattle just won the Super Bowl. You got the Rams making all these moves, bringing in Trent McDuffie. We got to do something, right? Like it's something we got to do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, I don't know how it's going to work out. I mean, look, Evans has been remarkably durable and remarkably productive in Tampa Bay throughout his career. And last year at the age of 32, he wasn't durable or productive. Like he played 8 games, and in those 8 games, he had 368 yards and 3 touchdowns. So is that the sign of things coming rapidly off the cliff, or is that just a sign of he had 1 year of nagging injuries that he couldn't get past, and now that he's healthy, he's going to be fine moving forward? I mean, I don't know the answer, but I know that, if you're San Francisco and you can get him close to what he was, I mean, even 2 seasons ago, he was 31 years old, caught 74 balls for 1,000 yards and 11 touchdowns. Like if he approaches that for San Francisco, it's a massive win.
Yeah, no doubt. It's again, and I know some people are going to think exactly what you just said it is possible. That it's just like sometimes it can happen so fast, and you just start breaking down, and it's like snap of the finger, and someone who was. I mean, look, we saw it here. Unfortunately for the Titans, we saw it basically with Julio Jones, who was, and again, by all indications, based on his history, he had been incredibly durable. Then he has the 1 year of the hammy. And you're like, well, the overall history tells you that this is a good gamble by the Titans. Well, it was a sign of things to come. And maybe that's the case with Evans. But I like the gamble for the Niners. I do. Like you said, like you have to try to compensate for the fact that you have 2 of the best teams, the defending champ and maybe the next champ in your own division. And you're just too old. You got too much invested in too many really good veterans to not try right now to make up the difference and get right in there with those teams. And if he is what they hope, then I think this gets them a little bit closer.
I tell you a team yesterday, Joe, that is intriguing to me in the NFC is Carolina. They signed Jalen Phillips. He a 4-year, $120 million deal coming from Philadelphia. So they get a stud pass rusher. Yesterday, Devin Lloyd, they signed him. You've got Tet McMillan, who had a good rookie season for them last year. Bryce Young looks like he's starting to come into his own a little bit, even though I don't know that he's shown enough yet where they're like fully committed to him moving forward. But I tell you though, like if I'm Carolina, and I've kind of thrown this out there before, but I'm checking with Philly like every day. Like if they're actually trading AJ Brown, Carolina would be a team where I'd be like, yeah, let's go do that. Like, can you imagine pairing him with Tet McMillan in that division, which is not very good, with Atlanta, with Tampa, who just lost Mike Evans. Tampa, kind of feels like they're at the 8-9 win mark every year. You were right there with them a year ago. Like Carolina feels like they're a team that could be ascending here. That I'd be looking to be pretty aggressive on the A.J. Brown front if I'm Carolina this offseason.
No, I think they definitely should be. And, like that defense is, Lloyd and Phillips, I mean, that's significant investment in that defense. And it's, I think we saw even in that playoff game, I mean, Bryce Young he's coming on here. Now, where does it stop? What's the ceiling? I don't know, but certainly you're talking about a great turnaround. I think he's an example. Here's a good question on the text line, which, we talk about this all the time, but the question is the NFL going through a Darnold/Waterboy effect where they're trying to pull anybody out of the ditch? And do you think it will lead to actual development of young QBs, or you get 2 seasons to get to the playoffs? I mean, Bryce Young, maybe we're seeing an example of some teams would have given up on him. They basically kind of did, right? And then you kind of get forced back in there, and it's like, gee, okay, maybe he's actually good. Maybe it takes time, even for a guy who played at a high level, started multiple years, had all the starts you want in college, started for, maybe the most talented team or one of the most talented teams in the best league in football. It's still different going to the NFL. And also they were terrible when he got there. That's why you get him. And now you're starting to see, gee, sometimes the timeline is just a little bit longer. I mean, if they ascend and he ascends, I think he's a great story of maybe these timelines are again getting a little bit condensed. So you don't always have to give up on the guy, and then he goes somewhere else and makes it. You can actually hang in there with someone, and they can get a lot better in 3-4 years, year 3, year 4.
So we have gone through the moves the Titans made yesterday. Do any of those moves signal about what could be coming for the Titans in the NFL draft? We will get into that. Take your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
The thing that I saw that most interested me about the Titans started with the Cardinals re-signing James Conner, their running back, and then signing Atlanta free agent Tyler Algier, which means they will not be taking the best running back in the draft, maybe the number one player overall in the draft, and that's Jeremiah Love of Notre Dame. And we talked last week about what a great running back, how it can transform your franchise. Titans saw it with Derrick Henry. He didn't pay off right away, but he certainly did after 2 years. The Oilers did it with Earl Campbell, who totally transformed the franchise. And I know they need pass rushers, but as I've told you guys, Robert Saleh can turn chicken, you know what, into chicken salad. And so they don't have to use the fourth overall pick on defense. They need to get Love and put Love. And I'll tell you what, if they don't, you will hear cheering from Houston, Indianapolis, and Jacksonville.
That was John McClain on with the Chase and Big Joe show yesterday, discussing Jeremiah Love, some moves that have been made at running back, and what that could mean for the Tennessee Titans. Joe, as we broke down earlier in the show, I mean, Arizona making moves at running back. New Orleans brings in ETN yesterday. Kansas City goes out and signs Kenneth Walker. So you've got a lot of moves in the direct vicinity of the Titans when it relates to the draft order that are being made at running back around the league. I look at all that going on and the Titans not doing anything at running back to this point. And look, Joe, it very well could be as simple as they're fine with Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears and they're just going with that. But I did look at it and say, I mean, you could still leave a pretty good spot open for Jeremiah Love there. With all that being said, based on what we've seen with, how aggressive they were at cornerback yesterday, they bring in Wan'Dale Robinson. We've talked about their Jermaine Johnson trade earlier this offseason. Have any of the moves the Titans have made to this point in the offseason, do they signal anything at all to you about where they could be headed when the NFL draft rolls around and the number 4 pick comes up?
Well, certainly, if they would have signed a running back, we could pretty much cross off Jeremiah Love. They didn't, so it looms large as a possibility. But, I mean, signing Jeremiah Johnson does not in any way, as we've already talked about, to me, mean they're not drafting an edge. Signing Wan'Dale Robinson doesn't mean they're not drafting a receiver, although I think the big issue there is I don't think there's a receiver you draft at 4. So I guess my answer is not really, but this is just going to fuel the speculation on Jeremiah Love.
Yeah. And
as we're going to talk about a million times between now and the draft, look, if he and there are people who think he's the best football player in the draft, and if the Titans believe that, well, I've been espousing the gospel of, best player available, but you also still have to take that and then you have to put it into the formula of, look around. The Kansas City Chiefs just signed the Super Bowl MVP, very good back. You can get backs. You can get good backs. I mean, I think Algier is like a starting quality back. I think that's a good signing. ETN, like you see, you can get backs. You will not go into free agency and get in their prime double-digit sack edge, unless you get Bud Dupree off a career year and an ACL. Like, for the most part, you're just not getting that. You're getting Clowney, later, and I'm thinking of Titans' recent attempts to address that position in free agency. You can get players like Danico Autry, who turns into a great player for you, but you're not getting the top of the line at that position. You can get pretty close to the top of the line at running back. How do you take that formula, that truth again of positional value, and apply it to the best player available question? All of which is, for me, Robbie, if they're sitting there and David Bailey and Jeremiah Love are both there, from what I know, I would take David Bailey.
I think I would too. The love part of this is interesting though. I mean, somebody on the YouTube chat just said if, or maybe it was text line, if Love doesn't get taken at this point at number 4 by the Titans, it could be a while before he goes based on some of the other moves that are being made. Maybe. I mean, maybe at some point somebody trades up. I mean, look, maybe the Giants at 5 look at it and say, you know what? We lost Saquon Barkley. Let's just get Jeremiah Love in here and pair him with Jackson Dart and let's go. I don't know. There's a lot of things that could happen on the Jeremiah Love front in terms of where he could go. I just, if you're the Titans, I do think that part of it's going to be interesting of one of those edge rushers is going to be there, whether it's Bailey, whether it's Arvell Reese, which seems less likely, or Ruben Bain, which seems more likely that he'll be there. And he could be there, I don't know, all the way down to 9, 10, 11, somewhere in that neighborhood. So what do you do at that point if you're the Titans? Like if it's just straight up Bailey and Love, like what does that decision look like if you're the Titans? What's going to be, I think, more interesting and probably what you don't want, and I say this as if I'm Mike Borgonzi. I'm not. What I don't want is by the time number 4 rolls around, the first 3 picks are Mendoza, Reese, and Bailey. And it's like, well, you could take Ruben Bain, who maybe you're not all that sure about from a measurable standpoint. You don't feel great about any receiver going at number 4. So it's just going to be Jeremiah Love. Like that's what it has to be. And maybe that's the way it shakes out here. I don't know. Like the what Arizona does at number 3 is going to be very, very interesting to me with their new regime here. But I think Love's going to be on the board when number 4 comes around here. And I am very interested to see what that looks like and who else is on the board along with him and whether or not David Bailey's one of those guys.
Yeah, I do too. And as Borobin on YouTube chat points out, we talked about earlier, but I think it's either Love or Styles, who some people compare to Fred Warner. And to the Titans, does Robert Saleh think Sonny Styles is his Fred Warner here? So the Titans could be at 4 talking themselves either a box linebacker or running back at 4. It's like it's just again when it comes to premium positions, people are pulling their hair out listening to that. But again, if the players are great, then okay. And I think that's the thing. It's like, is Bailey there or not? I mean, I think Bailey is going to be a really good pass rush for a long time. And I'm intrigued by Bain too. I mean, Bain. If the Titans took Bain, it would be a bit of a surprise. And there are definitely some people who would say, man, he's just positionless and like you can't take a guy at that spot. But also, like I do trust like Robert Saleh's eye for defensive talent. Sure. I think that's one thing that he has proved. He hasn't won, and neither is Dable. And those guys are bringing in a bunch of dudes that they lost with at their previous stops. But I think he has demonstrated the ability to evaluate, develop, and coach defensive players.
I mean, I can tell you one thing they're not doing at number 4. Not that I thought they were anyway, but you can mark corner off the list of possibilities at number 4. They're not taking a corner.
Yes, and I don't know that there was.
I don't think there's anybody worthy at number 4.
A top 4 corner, top 4 in the draft corner anyway. But people who look at this and say, "Oh, clearly that it's Love." No, I disagree. But they could have eliminated that, obviously, if they would have signed someone. Like the Chiefs have eliminated. We don't need to talk about the Chiefs anymore moving up. And it is interesting to think about if the Titans don't take him, he might have a bit of a fall. But again, like that's also the reality usually for running backs in this league in the first round.
We will have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up next. Take your thoughts at 615-737-1025. We'll get back into the Titans and the moves they've made in NFL free agency to begin the 8 o'clock hour. All that coming up. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
A lot of people are asking about the gout.
If you're hanging out with a bunch of guys with gout, Joe needs to tie into your group.
Exercising is a huge thing. I think I might have torn my PCL doing leg curls.
Drake May's probably better than Will Levis.
I'm absolutely going Mason Rudolph over Drake May.
I'm
not dumb. I'm smart. Not like everybody says I'm smart. Completely failed as a father, as I've said many times. And
what's up? This is Scott Stapp from Creed, and you're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 The Game.
It is time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. You can check it out every morning here on the program. Joseph, the floor is yours.
That Mason Rudolph over Drake May, that is such dirty business.
My favorite one ever.
Such dirty business.
I can't believe you said that.
Dude, as the backup that year.
That's not what I heard.
No, man. No, I'm not. I cannot let that slide. That only should be its
you
own
and Paul
rant.
both love
What's
Levis.
that?
You guys both love Levis. Yeah.
I think Drake May's
Drake
better than
May
Will Levis.
haters.
Yeah, neither one of them like Drake May all that much. My goodness.
Oh, God. All right. Well, we're going to, it's NFL free agency day, but that I have to take it to basketball at some point. So
I figured you would.
I'm going to do my annual rant, although it's really only half rant. It's part education and part rant. Okay. So there's two, this is for two groups of people. And yes, I basically wrote this column today in The Athletic, but I think it's a good PSA for this week. So if you're just kind of getting into college basketball, first of all, welcome. Love the casuals. The casuals are a big part of why this month is such a huge deal and why, the tournaments take over the nation for a few weeks, and I absolutely love that. And so I'm not mad at you. I just want to educate you on the big question everybody asks this time of year, which is, does the committee care about conference tournaments, right? So the answer is yes, but not in the way a lot of people talk about it, which is, well, we got to the semifinals, or we got to the title game, or they lost in the first round and we got to the semifinals. So this should mean this. We should be over their seed, whatever it is. These are just data points. These teams have played 31 games. Okay. So the next game you play is now it's 1 of 32. If you win that, now it's 1 of 33. If you get a really good win, great. But it's the same value as a really good win you got in December on a neutral court against a quad one team. Okay. And this is partially the fault of media. I love Joe Lunardi. I go back to writing a story about him in the Lansing State Journal, like what is a bracketologist in 2003 or something. Okay. And he does a great job, and he has basically created an industry. But sometimes as he talks during this week, it's he makes it seem like each win you're jumping up a seed line. He's not necessarily saying that, but it seems a little bit dramatic in terms of this win means this and this loss means this. And again, it's just a data point you throw into a big stew. Okay. So that's the education part of it. Just keep that in mind as it doesn't mean as much as you think. Now, if your team gets 2 or 3 big time wins, quad 1 or quad 1A, that's high quad 1 wins. Okay. Well, you might change your resume significantly. You might double those. And then, there's going to be an impact there, but it's who you play, not what you do. Just like your conference record doesn't matter either. Or you came in third. It doesn't matter. They're just looking at all the games. And then they have 7 metrics that measure every single thing you did and your efficiency and all these things. Okay. Then they talk about it. That's one thing. But the thing that really, and this came up a few weeks ago on the hellscape that you've gotten off, Robby, X.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, Seth Davis does this every year too. And Seth Davis, of course, the former coworker of mine, but he's been doing CBS forever. And so he is on that side of the bracket day. And so he knows firsthand, that the committee on Sunday has all these different brackets, and they try to hold off, and they try to give the one to CBS at the end. And I've been told that they have given 2 to CBS before and be like, okay, the Big Ten game, now this is the bracket. If this team wins, this is the bracket. But also, as someone in the NCAA told me last week, like they've had a Sunday where they start the day with 14 different brackets. People, and this is like Scott Van Pelt is saying this because of like a seeding that he didn't think got changed. Is like the committee just ignores Sunday. I mean, look, I've thought the same thing before. I get it. It's like, well, wait a minute. We just won this game and we're not here. Well, we were here the other day, so that means you didn't do anything. But here's the problem. We don't know what the committee had the other day. We know what bracketologists guessed the other day, okay? I mean, I'm doing, got a nice bracket up today, by the way. Check it out.
Chief,
but I'm guessing
bracketologist in the country.
Shameless plug from
Joe Rexrode.
That's right. But I'm guessing. I don't know. The committee gives you 16 seeds a month ago, and then we see the bracket at the end. So if we get mad about everything, like every year I get mad about something, right? On Sunday, we're going to be mad about something, or people are going to be mad about this or mad about that. Of course, right? It's a part of our heritage as American sports fans to be mad about the bracket. Well, do you not think they had stupid stuff when they started too? I mean, like you think that they did all the stuff you think should be in place, and then at the end they just didn't do anything? I mean, look, these people are holed up in a hotel room for 5 days. They have all this tech where it's like, okay, boom, boom, boom. The computer goes like if the bracket like doesn't meet the requirements, and then like it takes like a few minutes for the actual bracket to be put together. It takes hours and days to talk about the teams and seed them. So why do we think that like they can't like the Sunday games can't count? It's very easy for them to count, and they do count. And it's just like, some of these people who like should know better are still going with this stuff, and it's very frustrating. So there's my PSA. I hope that helps for the week.
I hope it does too. Craig on the text line says, it sounds like we need another ridiculous ranking reveal show every Thursday before college basketball like we have for college football. You just get more of these TV shows in there.
Yeah, we don't need that.
Where's the bracket at today? Here you go.
Yeah, we don't need that. Now, I will say I would love, and I've said this about football too, I'd love for them to show their work. I don't know why, like even talking to, I talked to a couple of people for this thing I wrote today who were on the committee, previously. And it's like, yeah, like they don't want to get into, and I understand it's like, that's just the general mindset is like, let's not get into specifics and talk about this or that decision and stuff like that. I would read or I would watch like them showing their work.
It's like a math test. Yeah, if you don't show your work, you don't get full credit. You don't deserve to be published. There we go.
Yeah. Now a lot of people would say, "Well, I don't care about that." Like I mean, that's but I think like serious hoops nuts would actually be interested in that. And again, I know they do the work, so that's the thing is when we get into this time of year, it's like they're just sitting in their hotel rooms eating bonbons. Like, no, I think they're actually like doing this. Like. I think it's a real thing, but so that's the problem. If you it's like if you're not going to be transparent, and it's just like with officiating to me, like these leagues should tell us if an official is suspended or and make these things public. I mean, like that's how there's a public accountability for things.
I appreciate the college basketball breather that you've supplied us with today. As one texter points out, we don't need the Mason Rudolph over Drake May guy talking about football anyway. So I'm glad that we've gotten this in here.
Yes, this is gonna.
We need to make this audio more prevalent. Probably once a show.
Ah, my God, it's so unfair to be taken out of context like that. So unfair.
I don't know if there's any evidence that you're taken out of context. I can just go by what the audio says.
I mean, I guess I have to go find the whole clip and then just have it on my phone ready to just like play into the microphone.
All I can go by is what the audio clip says. I would take Mason Rudolph over Drake May. That's what he said.
Tape doesn't
lie.
Tape don't lie. Eye in the sky.
How do we know that wasn't said in like 2013 when Drake May was like 9?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Mason Rudolph was definitely better than him then.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll take your reaction to Joe Rexrode's rant. We'll get back into NFL free agency and the Titans coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Tuesday morning. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping, outdoor patios, landscaping design, lawn maintenance, and more. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. A busy free agency day for the Tennessee Titans yesterday. They have signed 9 players to this point. Wan'Dale Robinson, Daniel Bellinger, Mitch Trubisky, Cordell Volson, Austin Schlottman, John Franklin Myers, Cordell Flott, Alante Taylor, and Joshua Williams, all signed by the Titans yesterday, or I guess officially will be signed tomorrow as the new league year begins. And still some interesting names that are out there on the NFL free agency front. So, Joe, before we get into what else could be coming for the Titans, what do you make overall of what they've done to this point? Adding 3 corners to the team yesterday, obviously another interior player up front to go along with Simmons and John Franklin Myers, who had 7.5 sacks last year with the Denver Broncos. You've added Wan'Dale Robinson, which is not a surprise. We knew that was probably going to be the case heading into free agency. So you add another wide receiver to the mix. What do you make overall of what the Titans have done to this point?
Well, I really, to me, the best move is Alante Taylor. And if Flott's good, then look, clearly, like, he's going to start. Those 2 start. They've almost wiped that out, and that was at the high on the list of glaring needs, positional needs that need to be addressed. So they've basically addressed that. I like the Robinson signing, and I think the money is reasonable, and I think he's a good player. He's going to come in and he's going to help the offense. He'll be good. It doesn't change that they still need to find that big time difference maker on the outside at some point, but it's a positive step. The offense is better for that. Franklin Myers is a good add, a good player. I mean, none of these are knocking your socks off, but again, if you get what you should get from these players based on what we know of them, the Titans have gotten better. I think we could possibly say significantly better, but we definitely better. My question is, the offensive line adds, are those good enough? And again, we keep coming back to, with this franchise, offensive line question marks. Obviously, they've tried, different regimes now have tried for years to figure out the offensive line. They got better last year. Do they have enough in the interior? Did they do enough at center? Should they have gone out there and again, we don't know what the conversations were, but should they have signed someone who, who has done more in this league? I mean, we talked about Cade Mays as a possibility for the Titans. That's my question, is have they done enough in the offensive line? Is that still going to be a problem next year?
Well, Cordell Volson at guard, who they have signed, he has started 48 of the 50 games that he has played in his career. Now, I'm not showing that he played this past year, so I need to see if there was, I would assume, an injury there that took place. So I need to look into that. But you guys,
PFF isn't great for whatever that's worth.
Well, we talked about that with the Mandor last year. And that's what we talked about. You got to keep an eye out there for that. So we'll see what that looks like. Is Austin Schlottman, who is the center that they've signed from the Giants, is he going to be the starting center? Is that the plan? Do they go somewhere else there? Like, Schlottman has played, obviously, for Dable. And you're talking about he has been in the league since 2019, started with Denver, went to Minnesota, spent the last 2 years with the Giants, and he played 17 games for the Giants last year. He started 4 of them. So what does that mean for what their plan is at center? I mean, clearly, Joe, the center market started to evaporate pretty quickly. Obviously, Linderbaum went quickly to the Raiders, but even before that, you had McGovern re-signing, you had Biotish signing. So, the center market started to kind of evaporate really before free agency ever began. And then Linderbaum got the huge deal with the Raiders, and then all of a sudden you turn around and you're running out of options if you're the Titans at that point. So I don't know that I'm still convinced that they're, whether it's going to be Slotman, like what's their plan with Jackson Slater? Is he going to be a center? Do they want him at guard? Do they want him starting? Like, there's still a lot up in the air when it comes to that part of it. And oh, by the way, like, we talked last week about Chig and Kevin Zeitler. Well, neither one of those guys have ended up anywhere to this point. So how realistic is it that one or both of those guys are coming back? Now that they've signed Bellinger, I'd probably be pretty surprised if Chig was back at this point. But what does this all mean for Zeitler?
Yeah, I would not expect him back either. I think maybe I'm wrong, but I would think that both those guys would go elsewhere. I mean, it seems like they've got their right guard now more clearly than they've got their center.
Agreed.
So I just would assume that Zeitler would be moving on. And again, I don't think that's a big loss. I mean, I think he was a little bit of a disappointment last year. Yeah, it's just center is really important. It's a really important position. They have options. They have flexibility, versatility up there. But do you have a good player starting? The Titans tried to address center, of course, a couple years ago, or I guess it was would be 3 off seasons ago, right? With Cushenberry,
yep.
You give him a big deal, and sometimes it doesn't work out when you do that. You can't foresee injuries, and he never was what they hoped. But that's probably my number one concern at this point. I feel like they've at least you can look around. Really, in one day doing a lot of this work, you can look around now and feel okay about a lot of positions for the Titans. I mean, again, I still don't feel great about edge. I mean, Johnson's a good ad, but like that's in Oladejo is a really important storyline. But corner has changed. The interior with Franklin Myers and Simmons, that should be good. At least with their offensive weapons like they have, it's nothing inspiring. You have to do more, but you can go out there and play. Who is playing center, and how good are they going to be? And if it's a problem, then that can just make other parts of your offense that aren't great look worse.
What do you make of what they've done at corner with Alontae Taylor coming in, who we talked about yesterday? I mean, I think that's a good signing for the Titans. So you get that part of it done. You signed Cordell Flott from the Giants, Joshua Williams coming in from the Chiefs. Flott has obviously started for the Giants. Alontae Taylor's going to start. I think you've got your 1 and 2 corners there. I don't know that Williams is your 3. I think Williams is probably more of a depth guy. He has started games for Kansas City before, but did not start last year. So what do you make of what they've done to this point at cornerback moving ahead here, and how that could affect, other moves this offseason, be that in the draft where, as somebody pointed out earlier, not only at number 4, but does it make it less likely at 35 that they're taking a corner at this point? What do you make of all that?
Yeah, probably. But I still think it's BPA, best player available. I mean, they need a young corner still in this team. Marcus Harris, we'll see where his development goes, but I think I'd still address that. But now it's not this overwhelming. Yeah, like it's not like this overwhelming. You have to draft a starter. If you have to draft a starter, to be competitive on the defensive side of the ball at that very important position, then that just really makes it difficult. And sometimes then you're going to draft for need, where you're sacrificing maybe a better football player somewhere else. But yeah, Taylor's good. Taylor's, he's not a star. I don't know that he's going to be like a top 10 corner in the league, but he's good. He's a good cornerback. And, if Flott's good, then yeah, I mean, to me, Taylor is the best thing they did yesterday. Probably followed right after that by Wan'Dale Robinson.
We mentioned the Connor Hughes report that he put out there earlier, who covers the Giants and the Jets for SNY up there in New York. Yep. Says Cordell Flott was set to return to the Giants. Said it was as done of a deal as you can get without pen to paper. As a last-second attempt to get him to change his mind, the Titans put forth their entire plan for how Robert Saleh planned to use him and what they believed he could accomplish in this defense, and that was the difference. Flott doesn't return to the Giants. He instead heads to Nashville with teammates Wan'Dale Robinson and Daniel Bellinger there. So according to Connor Hughes, the Robert Saleh effect taking place and stealing Cordell Flott from the New York Giants yesterday.
Does this mean he's good?
Yes.
What's that mean? Harbaugh not have a good sales pitch up there.
Guess not.
New scheme.
Take some of that, Harvester.
Huh?
Not going to have time to meet with Amy Adams Strunk when she's boarding that plane. We'll take a cornerback from you. What do you think of that?
Yeah. How about that?
Robert,
we'll
you need
take
to get up
Flott
there.
from you.
I need Cordell Flott bad. I need you to take him away from John Harbaugh right now. That sucker wouldn't even meet with me to talk about the job.
Big dub for everything. And the New York media is going to be screaming about this for days. John Harbaugh's big, but no, hey, it's a good sign. If somebody else wanted to, sign a player you signed that very few people have heard about.
615-737-1025 is our phone number. Your reaction to what the Titans have done in free agency to this point. What more would you like to see them do? We'll take your thoughts on all of it. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Tonight, Vanderbilt baseball hosts Indiana State at Hawkins Field. First pitch at 6 o'clock. Catch all the action on 94.9 The Fan. Coverage presented by Gary Force Acura. Indiana State. See if Larry Bird comes walking through that door for Indiana State tonight on the baseball field. Be interested to see. How old's Larry Bird now?
Well, let's see. He would have been a senior in 79. He's probably getting close to 70, right?
He is 69 years old. He'll be 70 on December the 7th.
There you go. Very depressing. Basically, anybody.
Depressing.
Yeah, just about anybody now. You ask a public figure what their age is, and then you get the answer, and it's depressing. When you're as old as me.
Taking your thoughts on the Titans and NFL free agency. 615-737-1025, our phone number. 615-737-1025. So, Joe, is there anything else that stands out to you in terms of more moves you'd like to see from the Titans, specifically in free agency? There's Trey Hendrickson that is still out there, and that's interesting. I think Schefter had an update this morning on Get Up or Sports Center or whatever shows that they're doing on ESPN nowadays that, basically Hendrickson's talking to a lot of teams, but his number's too high right now. Like he thinks that he's worth, I guess, more than teams seem to think that he is right now. So there's that you've got to contend with. He's 31 years old. So what's that going to look like? Jawan Jennings is still out there. Tariq Woolen is out there. Romeo Dobbs is out there. Anything in particular still stand out to you in terms of moves that the Titans could make? I mean, Chig's still out there. Stephon Diggs is out there. Joey Bosa is out there. A lot of interesting names that are out there.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to depth adds at a lot of places. I mean, you probably get down from from the list of guys you're talking about to lower ticket items. So I think we'll see some of that. But well, look, Reek Woolen. Yeah, I mean, to me, I assume that's a price thing with him too. Is that what's going on?
I would assume so. Yeah.
When guys of that quality aren't scooped up on day one, you kind of just assume it's like, okay, well, maybe you're not quite getting what you hope for, even in this tradition of crazy overpays. I mean, a Dobbs or a Jennings, like if you're definitely not bringing Ridley back, I'm not opposed to it. I mean, I think that probably in either case, just in terms of reliability, you're probably upgrading there if it's Ridley out and one of those guys in. I don't think if Ridley's staying that you're going to even look at those guys.
No.
So, and like Hendrickson, I don't know how does the price get crazy low? Like if it gets to the point where I mean, I assume we're going to hear something soon on him, and it's still going to be a big number with somebody, and it's going to be probably a contender. I've been kind of anti the whole idea with him just because it just doesn't really fit their timeline. But I mean, he's still a great football player. So
I'm trying to get the Packers to sign him, get Hendrickson on one side, Parsons on the other. I'm here for that.
That sounds fair. Yeah, that seems really fair for the NFL. Nah, I monitor that one for sure. But I don't. There's nothing right now left that it's like, like obviously before they signed Taylor, we were just talking, man, you got to get on to. You have to get somebody at receiver. We kind of expected like the Franklin Myers thing, which again is a good signing. I think that signing is probably a little bit underrated just because it's just been assumed for a while now.
Right.
But it's good. It's a good ad. Like he's a good player. Like Jeffrey Simmons. You just got an upgrade next to yourself. Very different player from DeAndre, but it's an upgrade. So what does that mean for Simmons next year? If he's going to play at that same level, be in that same kind of shape, I think that the interior of this defense, the interior of this defensive front could be a real problem for people.
David from Watertown says, I'd like to see them go after somebody that didn't used to play for a New York team. That would be priority one coming up next. There's a lot of former Giants that the Titans got after yesterday. And,
and Jets and Saints.
And Jets and Saints.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff.
No, I
going
get
on.
it. I get it's a really interesting thing because it's like, okay, so you didn't win and you didn't win, and now you're bringing a
And you
bunch
got
of players,
fired, and you got fired,
Yeah.
and now
and
you're
now you
bringing
want
a
to
bunch
bring
of
them in here.
yeah, players that you didn't win with to Tennessee. So I understand the concern there. I also would say you know, every team in this league has good players, even the Titans. Sure. And actually, shoot, if you want to use the Titans tradition of like sending players to other teams and they do great, well, you hope that's the same with the Jets and the Giants, right? I mean, my goodness, you hope the Jets and Giants fans are like, wow, these guys leave our team and look at what they're doing in Nashville. I mean, there's some good players they added. So, but yeah, sometimes it does get a little bit like, man, this my guy, this is your guy, coaches, you know, this is my guy, and people sometimes get alarmed by that, especially if it's again not coming from winning.
What's more intriguing to you, Joe? Tua to the Atlanta Falcons yesterday, or Malik to the Miami Dolphins?
More intriguing?
Yeah.
Well, I think Malik is one of the most, maybe is fascinating a story in the league next year, right? It's a great story. Good for him. It's incredible. I just mentioned players go elsewhere. They leave the Titans, and look at what can happen for them.
45 million guaranteed for old Malik yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, good for him. I don't know if it's going to work out. I'm fascinated to find out. I'm keeping an open mind because you would never have guessed that you were looking at a future starting quarterback when he was here, even when he got better that last camp and they traded him to Green Bay. I never ever would have guessed that he would be in this position he is right now, and he is with limited time out there, but not. I mean, I think last year he did enough times that you're like, geez, like, is this guy good? You watched it. You watched every snap he played. It's kind of amazing. I hope it goes well for him. I think it's as interesting a story as there is in the league next year, the next couple of years, and it's not going to go well for him if the Dolphins don't do a lot of good things to help him because they've got issues down there. So that's the concern too. Is like it's an opportunity, but is it a bad opportunity? I mean, you have to take them wherever you can get them. As for Tua, it's not a terrible situation for him because Penix is hurt. Penix may be ready at the beginning of the season, may not. Probably won't play every game next year. Tua's just trying to, for Tua, he wants people to believe that it's more the Dolphins than him, that he can stay healthy so that he can have another crack at starting. But my guess for him is he's probably going to be a journeyman fringe backup bounce around, kind of like a Mariota after he left here.
Hey, by the way, Marcus back with Washington yesterday too.
Yeah.
So he's just churning right along.
It's a good spot. It makes sense.
You think the Falcons ever use like, hey, we got Chick-fil-A in the stadium as a recruiting tool for free agents? Never mind the fact that it's closed 90% of the games we played, but we have.
I was going to say, do they practice there ever, like in the stadium, so that they can actually buy it? Yeah.
Like your family's going to love Monday Night Football. We got Chick-fil-A wide open in here, baby.
Hopefully our Thursday night game will be at home, and we'll just load up.
Let's head to the phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Kenny, the mailman, to the program. Kenny, good morning. How we doing?
My good friends, how are y'all doing today?
Doing good, brother.
Good, okay.
Robby, you were just joking about Larry Bird playing for Indiana State, right?
I was. I think. I can't confirm that he's not going to jump out there.
Rexrode, are you old enough to remember when Larry Bird did play baseball for Indiana State?
So that Indiana State Michigan State game, which is still the most watched basketball game ever in this country, is I was a kindergarten, so I vaguely remember this happening. But I quickly learned to hate him as I grew up as a kid.
Well, he's talking baseball.
Oh, baseball.
Listen to this. This is from the book When March Went Mad by Seth Davis.
Yeah.
Hardly anybody knows this, but just think how this could have changed history. After that game, this is after that game where most people would have been getting ready for the draft. He was going to be the big pick in the draft. He had promised the Indiana State baseball coach he would throw out the first pitch for a doubleheader. And he said, well, heck, I'm still a student. Why don't I just play? He suited up, went 0 for 1 in the first game against Kentucky Wesleyan, had a hit in the second game that knocked in 2 runs, But are you ready for this? In the 8th inning, this is from the book, he collided with catcher Mark Richards that knocked both of them out.
Oh, boy.
Fortunately, Larry Bird just had cobwebs, but Richard was out of action for 3 days.
Oh, my goodness.
His agent was in the stands, and it's confirmed he almost passed out also.
Yeah, I could say so.
Now, you just think about, what if he'd have broke his shoulder?
Yeah.
Running into a catcher fully padded, and the catcher was the one that hurt. But it's like, what were you doing, Larry?
It could have changed sports history, Kenny.
You just mentioned something as a joke, but there's always a backstory.
Man, that's awesome. And that is why Kenny the Mailman's the best, right
As
there.
Paul Harvey used to say, now you know.
Yes.
The rest of the story. Hey, y'all have a good day.
Thank you, Kenny. Appreciate it. I was
That's great
completely
stuff.
unaware from that, Joe.
I thought about Kenny yesterday, actually. He was the first person I thought of when the news of Tua signing with the Falcons became official or whatever, because Kenny has called in to complain that you cannot have a backup quarterback as a lefty if your starter is right-handed.
Yeah.
Because of how it
changes
totally
everything.
messes everything up. So I was like, wait a minute. Now we got double lefties in Atlanta.
Matt
Kenny
Ryan,
the Mailman
protections.
has told us this makes perfect sense.
Yep.
He's
It's
right.
set up perfectly. You don't have to worry about the tackle swap. You don't have to worry about how it comes out funky with the lefty. You're good.
Yep. Now we know Matt Ryan listens to the show, Joe.
They must, right? By the way, that's a great story. That also means that Larry Bird's baseball career is still better than Michael Jordan's. Congratulations.
Oh, there we go. Knew we could work our way into it. There we go. 615-737-1025.
Did
our phone
Isaiah
number.
Thomas play baseball?
That's a good question.
No, he was too good. He was too busy being the greatest point guard of all time.
More on NFL free agency next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game, taking your reaction to NFL free agency to this point and what the Titans have done. Trevor on the text line says, I don't mind them bringing in a bunch of guys Dable's familiar with, but say they're productive and they play good enough to get Dable a head coaching job after 1 year. Then someone new comes in who has no connection to those guys. That has me a bit worried. This from Trevor on the text line. I understand it. I would say this, Joe. I will take the 1 year of being good and good enough to get Brian Dable a head coaching job next year and then worry about kind of the aftermath of that after it at this point based on what we've seen over the last few years. But it is, we talked about that when Dable was hired. Like, I think he was pretty close to landing a head coaching job now. So if there's reasonable improvement with the Titans next year under Cam Ward in the second year, it's logical to assume that he could get a head coaching job next offseason. Again, I'll take that and worry about it when the time comes, if that means that I'm going to get better as a football team this year if you're the Titans. But it is, worth keeping around in the back of your mind. Trevor's point that he brings up.
Yeah, I get it, but if Wan'Dale Robinson comes in here, is good, Dable will go somewhere else. Wan'Dale Robinson will stay with the Titans. He'll stay catching passes. I'm more worried about the connection he has with Cam Ward than anything else. Now, an interesting part about that is the scheme, because obviously Saleh has said he likes the curveball, I guess, that this offense throws at teams relative to like the new West Coast that's more common in the league.
Yeah.
So if Dable leaves, I think like if it's 1 year, do they have someone ready? It
would have to be a heck of a 1 year, right? For 1 year.
Yeah. But if the Titans go like 8-9 next year and their offense takes a big jump and Cam Ward's good, Dable will be absolutely mentioned among head coaching candidates. I'm confident in that. It's not like they have to have be a contender for him to that demonstrates, especially the Cam part of it, right? That demonstrates impact. That's another quarterback you can point to and say this guy works with quarterbacks. And I think Dable is a decent season away overall from the team and a clear improvement from the offense away from being a pretty popular name in those conversations. And I'm sure he can be selective, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a year. I think if the Titans get 2 years, that's pretty good. And again, maybe it goes poorly, but then it's like, great. So it goes poorly and you keep him. Super. Him and all his giants.
Can I tell you a move that was made yesterday that I looked at and I keep wondering how this guy keeps getting deals like as big as they are. So J.K. Dobbins yesterday signed a 2-year, $20 million deal with the Broncos. Okay. And I haven't seen what the guaranteed money looks like. And at the end of the day, I guess that's all that really matters. But I like J.K. Dobbins, and I feel bad for the guy. But the guy, he's going to get hurt. I mean, he played 13 games in 2024. He played 10 last year for the Broncos. And we know how hurt he's been throughout the course of his career. And yet he just signed a 2-year, $20 million deal yesterday. Like, I just don't understand that. Like, I don't know how he's getting that much money. I just last year when he was on the field, he was pretty good. He averaged 5 yards a carry. He had 772 yards in 9 games. So in 10 games. So it's good numbers. But the guy, it's an automatic. He's going to get hurt. He gets hurt every year.
Yeah, it's a reach for sure. It is funny though to think about that money you just mentioned as a lot.
Yeah.
It just tells you what the reality is for running backs. But yeah, that one is that's an easy one to question. You have to be really skeptical of him being able to be on the field enough to come close to that.
Yeah. I saw that yesterday and I was like, good for him, man. I'm glad he's continuing to, roll through these contracts, but he literally gets hurt every year. Every year he gets hurt. And he's had a couple of just catastrophic ones in there too. And you're talking about somebody who's going to be 28 next year. So, look, we talked about running back and a lot of the names went off the board yesterday. Aaron Jones is still out there. Rashad White from Tampa Bay is still out there.
He stinks.
Yeah, he's not very good. We saw Rico Dowdle go to Pittsburgh yesterday, so that's another one that we haven't mentioned that you could take off the list. So there are still some running backs that are going to be out there, but with Walker gone, with ETN gone, obviously Breece Hall never even made it out there. Algier's gone, and he signed. Like the options at running back, to the point where if you're looking at it from a Titans perspective, it's like, okay, is there any options out there anymore that are like better than Tony Pollard? And what does that mean for the Jeremiah Love part of this?
Yeah, it's not, I think, exciting probably to think about Tony Pollard, Pollard Spears combo next year at running back, and I'd like to see them upgrade. I think the only real upgrade probably is if they're going to draft Jeremiah Love number 4, and then it's definitely an upgrade. But again, then you get into are you bringing in a star, like someone who's going to be a lead playmaker for this offense, and is that more valuable than an edge who might be a double-digit sack player for many, many years? I would say no. But certainly that, at this point with what's out there and who's been signed and everything, I don't think they're upgrading over on Pollard otherwise.
Are you disappointed that the Titans didn't land or get close to? I mean, I guess we don't know that they didn't get close to, but get into it with the Tyler Linderbaum sweepstakes, given the deal that we saw yesterday with the Raiders?
It's a crazy deal. So anybody who's like, you're just not paying that much. And like we heard from TD, like skepticism. I mean, it seemed like the Titans were from the start kind of like, that might be a little bit too rich for our blood. But yeah, to answer your question, I like if you can get a great player there. Is he a great player? I mean, he's a very good player for sure. If you can be solid and stable there and have a really good starter, like, that's a big deal for a young quarterback. I mean, a good veteran center, like it's, talking about calling out protections and things, being the leader up there. It's a big deal. Ben Jones was a big deal when the Titans got him at the beginning of the John Robinson tenure. So I would have liked to have seen him or Cade Mays or Connor McGovern or something more than they did.
615-737-1025. One more segment coming up next. Continue to take your reaction to what we've seen at this point in free agency from the Titans. We have some more news to get to with more deals coming in around the National Football League. We'll get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final segment of the day, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Some more signings rolling in today. Greg Newsome has signed a 1 year worth up to $10 million deal with the New York Giants. So with Jacksonville last year, Greg Newsome signing a 1 year deal with the New York Giants. So that one has rolled in this morning. Joe, one thing we have not brought up today, what did you make of Travis Kelce making the decision to come back and give it one more go with the Kansas City Chiefs next season?
I'm a little surprised. I kind of thought he'd hang it up. I think to me at this point, it's you're coming back in hopes of getting one more ring. Can't sit here and discount them, even as poorly as things went last year. But I just feel like I just think they've eroded a little bit too much in too many spots, including him, by the way.
Yep.
He's a fine player now. I mean, he's way past his prime as a player. So I'm a little bit surprised. I mean, I think if I were him, I'd probably just buy an island with T Swift and, just do my podcast and whatever. But it'll be interesting to see if those guys can figure a way to make a run. They
got Kenneth Walker in there now.
The guy, I like the Kenneth Walker signing. I like that. I think that for them to have a legitimate run threat, they really haven't had that in that offense since Kareem Hunt, several years ago.
They're going to draft Mekhi Lemon, number 9.
And that would be pretty good. But they also you dump another starting cornerback.
Yep.
Which worked out great for them last time, but that's a picks move. I don't know. They're going to have one heck of an off season, but you'd also be silly to just discount Patrick Mahomes at any point.
You would. It's going to be, I guess I'm surprised given where they are. What's he going to do if they make the playoffs next year, but they get beaten the divisional rounds? They coming back and giving it another shot after that, or are you determined to go out with a Super Bowl win? That part of it is going to be pretty interesting. I mean, the thing about it is, I'm with you. He's clearly not the same player that he used to be. I mean, he did last year catch 76 balls for 851 yards and 5 touchdowns. So, I mean, he's still effective.
He's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's just not, 3 years ago, he's probably still one of the top weapons in the league, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, and I think he did. It seems like it would have been the year before that he was kind of in bad shape for half the year, right?
Correct. And he's still that. Even that year, he caught 97 passes for 823 yards.
Yeah. So, his bad years are career years for a lot of tight ends. So, it's good for the Chiefs to have. I mean, you still would rather have him than not. So, although I'm probably some Chiefs fans are who knows, hoping he retires or hoping they'll stop showing Taylor Swift in the box or whatever.
Is Trey Hendrickson the most intriguing free agent today? See where he eventually ends up. What about Kyler Murray?
Yeah, both of them for sure. I mean, Murray is still I don't know what the latest buzz, and we've talked a lot about the Kyler Murray Minnesota idea, which I just find to be fascinating. Obviously, it's people wondered if Miami would be a team after Murray. We know that's out now. Atlanta is out now, so yeah, he's probably number one for me. But yeah, Hendrickson, what is the ask there? And what does he end up settling for? I guess it's the Bengals can feel justified in their cheapness for a day that he didn't get signed yesterday.
I guess so. We'll see how that goes on the Trey Hendrickson front. Jawan Jennings is still out there. So a lot of names that are still available to keep an eye on today. We'll have you covered all day long for the latest in NFL free agency. That's going to do it for us today here on the program. We will be back at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Next Man Up with Jake Lyman is coming up next. The Preds in action tonight with a late one in Seattle, which is actually a pretty large game. So lots of stuff going on. We'll see you guys tomorrow. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.